Let's go, girls. Welcome to Talk Wealthy. Welcome to Talk Wealthy to me. Okay, ready? Hi, everyone. Okay, so let's talk about something that you've probably seen trending. And that is this whole concept of marrying rich and what happens. And is it actually a financial plan? Because you can marry into a wealthy household. You can live in the beautiful home, drive the car, do the things, right? Send your kids to the best schools. From the outside, it looks pretty good. But from the inside, is it really a financially secure plan if you potentially own none of it? That's the distinction that I want to talk to you about today. There's a difference between living around money, having access to it, or actually owning it. And most women don't discover which one they have until something forces that question. So, a lot of bad things can always happen, and we never want to think about them or talk about them, but divorce, death, betrayal, one of those things happens, and we're in big trouble because if you've never gone through something like this exercise, then you're going to find yourself with a quiet realization that the life that you've helped build was maybe never legally yours. And that is a spot no one wants to be in. So today, how do we choose marriage, motherhood, maybe a career pause, a softer life without quietly signing away the financial future that you're helping to build? And I want to be abundantly clear. I'm not anti-marriage or anti-men, anti-stay-at-home mom. What I am, though, is anti any woman entering the biggest financial arrangement of their life without understanding the terms of that. So let's talk about it. Okay, so I have a name for what happens in this gap, and it's called the proximity illusion. It's what happens when we mistake being near money for owning money. And here's why that's dangerous, because it's invisible from the outside. A wealthy couple and a wealthy husband with a financially dependent wife look identical at a dinner party. Same house, same vacations, same handbags, but they are not the same thing. And the difference only reveals itself at the worst possible moment. I'm sure you've seen the TikTok trending post where a woman is terrified because she's lived a great life and suddenly her husband says, I want a divorce, and her cards don't work. Nothing that she thought she had, she actually has access to. And we don't want that to happen, right? Okay, so quick disclosure. Obviously, this is all just to educate you guys. It's not personalized financial advice, and that's what these kind of conversations take. So I don't know what state you're in or your assets or anything about your specific situation, but your team, the people around you, do. Talk to them. Think of this as the conversation that you need to have with them because you listen to this and it's making it a lot less stressful and a lot more useful. Okay, so let's be honest about why this whole marry rich content thing is having a moment. Women are tired. And I know I've said that in other episodes, but it's true. The girl boss era told us women that we can do everything and anything. And what a lot of women heard was you must do everything. You must build the career, earn the income, run the house, remember the theme days for school, manage the calendar. Don't forget to stay attractive and self-care, but stay present. Also meal prep and do all of that with a calm, regulated nervous system. It's hysterical, right? Even in marriages where both the spouses are earning similar incomes, research keeps finding these same patterns, and that's that women carry more of the caregiving and household load, and men carry more of the paid work and the leisure. And that's okay. But that's a whole other topic. How do we fix that? When someone says, oh, you don't have to do all of this. You can marry well. You can stay at home. You can let it be soft. Of course, that sounds great. I remember growing up, my grandmother used to say to me, you can fall in love with someone rich just as easily as you can someone that's poor. And it was funny, but you heard it. I'm sure we all heard it. And we need to find the happy medium, the balance. Because wanting to marry somebody that will allow you to live a softer lifestyle is not laziness, but it is exhaustion talking from everything that we've taken on. So the women that are looking for this, they're not rejecting ambition, they're rejecting the performance. And there's a real difference between wanting support and confusing support with security. Someone can financially support you today without building financial security for you. Social media only ever shows you the support. It never shows you the structure. You see that reel and the girl that has the house and the trip and the flowers and the handbag and the caption about never splitting a bill. But what you don't see is the deed, the beneficiary designations, the trust. Whose name is actually on the accounts? Is there a prenup, the estate plan? Lifestyle is visible, but ownership is invisible. And that's the proximity illusion in one sentence, making what you can see for what you actually have and not understanding the difference. So let's talk through how we can kind of right this ship. How do we actually tell the difference between these things? And doing that while you're still married, not after. So, the framework that I love to use with every client in this position is just three little words: count, claim, and cover. Count means knowing what the household actually owns and what it owes, not approximately, but specifically. Whose name is on your house? And is there a mortgage in it? Do you own any part of this business or do you just benefit from its income? Is there an IRA being funded in your name every year on purpose because of the value you're bringing to the table as the one running the house? Could you state the household's approximate net worth off the top of your head? Could you log into any of the accounts right now without having to ask for a password or permission? If you hesitated on any one of those things, that's not a character flaw, so don't worry. That's information. It means you're living inside a financial structure that you don't build and you currently can't verify, and we can change that. And count also applies to decisions too, and not just about account balances. But when a woman considers stepping away from paid work, most couples run, or at least they should be running more than this, but usually it's just one number: salary minus daycare. And that's not the real cost, ladies. The U.S. Department of Labor has reported that unpaid family caregiving can reduce a woman or mother's lifetime earnings by roughly 15%. So before you even count the lost raises, the employer matches, Social Security earning history, all of that stuff, I mean, really think about the lost momentum, the lost equity. $100,000 salary given up for 5 years is not $500,000 in a decision. It's so much bigger than that. And then that compounds. Count the real number before you decide what's going to work for your family. And not to talk anyone out of leaving, because sometimes that's exactly right, but because you can't protect what you never priced. Okay, now claim. This means converting access into ownership and doing it on purpose. And this is the word that makes some people get uncomfortable: compensation. Like marriage is a transaction, which doesn't feel good. And it's not a transaction, it's an economic partnership. And let's not pretend that it isn't. Pretending money isn't involved in making a marriage doesn't make sense. And it also doesn't make it less romantic. It is just a fact of the union. It's making it more protected instead of less. So, what does that actually look like? Okay, well, let's talk about a spousal IRA. So for 2026, you're able to contribute for a stay-at-home spouse $7,500 a year, or $8,600 if you're 50 or older. And you're able to fund that account if you have no earned income on your own. So it'll be in your name. It's not a joint account. It's a retirement account, and it's all yours. And that's one of those things that people don't think about. Being added to the title of real estate or holding an actual ownership stake in the business, this is where it all starts to make sense. Life insurance that protects the partner who isn't earning, because replacing a caregiver's labor is very expensive. This is not pay me an allowance for staying home, and I hate that. I have people in my life that their husbands say they are getting an allowance, and I think it is not the best term to use, but that is a conversation for them to have. But it is something that we should be talking about as a joint decision. What should be contributed for unpaid labor? And because staying home, even though it's a choice, is the hardest unpaid job anybody could ever have. We want to make sure that when you make that decision, that you're building security for both people and not just one, because marriage is a partnership. An allowance is not a partnership, but a titled account is. Okay, now cover is the legal and insurance layer, and this is the part that only matters on the worst day, which is exactly why it's the part that gets skipped over. It makes people feel icky and uncomfortable, but it's not optional. There was actually a US Government Accountability Office review that found, on average, women's household income and assets fell by 41% following a divorce. I mean, that's crazy. That nearly doubles the decline experienced by men. So, this analysis published by the Social Security Administration cited that research shows that women's average pension income runs through about roughly 34% below their husbands. And that's driven largely just because they have a lower lifetime earning and they've taken career pauses for caregiving, whether it's for kids or parents or anybody that needs your attention. And by the way, women on average live about 2 years longer, if not more, than men once they reach 65. So whatever you have has to stretch further and not less far. And where does this all fit in? Is it a prenup or postnup? Because those are names in writing that solve these problems. How a career pause gets treated if the marriage ends, all of those things. A prenup is not a prediction of divorce. And I know when you're, starry eyed and madly in love, it can feel that way, but it shouldn't. It's a conversation that you have while you still like each other and are madly in love, instead of the version that you have to have through attorneys once you don't. The legal language belongs to the lawyers. My job is to make sure the economic risk gets named before anyone drafts anything. And one more distinction before we move on: financial dependence, chosen inside of a healthy relationship or partnership, is not a bad thing. It's not the same thing as, say, financial control or leading to financial abuse. Not being allowed to see the accounts, being pressured to sign what you haven't read, like tax returns, being told that asking questions is disloyal, that is not the soft life. That's vulnerability. And it's so important that you know the difference. Now, if you're listening to this thinking, Michelle, I am nowhere near this. I'm not married to money. I'm building my own. This still applies to you. Maybe more, because the proximity illusion doesn't require a wealthy spouse. It only requires proximity without ownership. Maybe you're working in the family business and you have no equity. Or maybe you're earning a paycheck that covers groceries and childcare while his income is the one building the retirement account. It's running your own business and never separating your money from it. Count, claim, and cover apply at every income level and at every stage. The only thing that changes is the size of that number. Start now with whatever you have wherever you are, and the structure compounds right alongside the balance. So, how do we make this practical? Before you make any major decision about work, marriage, or a career, pause and run what I like to call the ownership scorecard. It's basically 5 questions, and you have to answer them honestly. No one is looking over your shoulder. But those questions are: 1, could I state our approximate net worth right now without asking anybody? 2, is there an account, whether it's retirement or just investment, that is legally mine and it's being funded on purpose? 3, do I know what happens to me financially if my spouse dies tomorrow? 4, do I know what happens to me financially if this marriage ends and we get divorced? And 5, could I access cash today without having to ask permission? 5 yes answers, you're good. You have a financial plan that you've built together. Fewer than 5, you have a lifestyle. And it's time to build the plan underneath it. I want to say something that might sound harsh, but I mean it with all the love. This soft life, it still needs hard documents. Let me say that again. The soft life that so many people want and aspire to still needs the hard documents. You can want ease and you can still read your estate plan. You can trust your husband or partner completely and still want and need to understand the tax return. You can stay home, raise your kids, and still own an investment account. And you can be soft and still know the balance sheet. So, is marrying rich a financial plan? It's a hard no. It is not. It can improve your circumstances. It can open doors for you, make life a lot easier while things are great. It can let you take risks that you couldn't take alone. But another person's income is not automatically your asset. Another person's promises, well, they aren't forever sometimes, and it doesn't automatically give you any protection. The plan is what you two are building together deliberately. The ownership, the retirement contributions, the estate plan, the knowledge, the insurance, all of it. You can marry rich and get wealthier. You can also marry rich and stay financially powerless. And that is all the difference in structure. And I say that because that's where things get really scary and uncertain. Not fear, not suspicion, not control. This is all about clarity, ownership, options, and that's truly what it means to talk wealthy. Okay, so if you're sitting here thinking about all of the things that you need to address and feeling a little bit uneasy, whether you're married or not, this is the whole reason why I created the financial blueprint, because it was designed for women who have built something meaningful. You've done the right things, you've checked the boxes, but you also know there's another level of clarity and strategy and intentional wealth that's waiting for you. If you're thinking, okay, that sounds like me, and I'm ready to understand how my money is working and where it's protected and what's the next smartest move that I need to be making, well, this very well may be it. So, if you're shaking your head yes and asking, okay, where do I find this? Always website, show notes, send me a message, Instagram. I will make sure that you get in the right place, because changing the way women think and feel about money isn't specific to one life circumstance or career or business owner or someone living a soft life. It's for all of us. And that is how we continue to change the way women think and feel about money together.